alluded by Edith Kimani earlier on, we had witnessed a presser by the embattled former Chief Registrar of the High Court, that is Gladys Shollei, and she was basically answering to allegations leveled against her by the JSC, as well as the action by JSC to dismiss her of her duties. And here is what she said.
Not lost any money. There has been no corruption in the judiciary. All that has happened is that the judiciary administrative team has implemented programs under the Judiciary Transformation Framework. The Judicial Service Commission laid allegations against me on the 10th of September, alleging 1.2 billion shillings loss. But before that, the Nation Media Group had set out that there was 5 billion. The figure reduced to 1.2 billion. Then finally, recently, it seems to have come to about 2 point something. This is the law of the jungle. It is the mathematics of defenders of corruption. It is the mathematics of everything that is not transparent. The judiciary has not lost any money. If the judiciary had lost any money, the first point of contact would have been the Internal Auditor General, who has 6 internal auditors within our offices, and who no payment can be processed without their clearance. And even if we did, within exactly 1 week, we would have questions from the Internal Auditor General. Some of the issues they raised have already been cleared to the satisfaction of the Internal Auditor General. Yeah. The other, when they talk about things like, when you rent buildings, is there a loss? We've paid the rent. In any case, all those buildings were rented through an open tender process by advertisement in all the dailies, and have been paid within the market rates advised by the market forces and the set market rates. We all know how much it is per square foot in Upper Hill. The judiciary is paying that at 90 shillings for that particular building. The Judicial Service Commission arbitrarily took a building themselves, which is costing 124 shillings per square foot, which they did not even advertise. So who is the dishonest person here? In fact, curiously, the building was sought by Emilio Minde and Hamed Nasir without using the tender committee of the judiciary. That in itself is a crime. In our case, we have committed no crime. Lastly, when you look at the buildings that the judiciary leased, which they amount to the 1.2 billion shillings, of the 20 leases, only 3 are from private developers or owners. The remaining ones are owned by the Agricultural Finance Corporation, a public entity, a semi-autonomous state corporation. The question is, how do you lose money when it moves from one government account to another government account? Yeah, that cannot be corruption. Also, if you recall, when all this began, I personally welcomed a probe in the interest of transparency. I personally, long before the Judicial Service Commission did so, I called for the Public Procurement Oversight Authority, the EACC, the Internal Auditor General, the Auditor General, all of them to come in, who are engaged in the process of checking all of us as public servants, and who are designated to check financial management and procurement within the judiciary. We asked that they must come in, probe first, and JSC can thereafter take action against me. The JSC was not interested.
Now, what we've just witnessed was the first time the former Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Gladys Shollei, is answering to allegations of the JSC that resulted into her imminent dismissal late last week. And a lot of Kenyans are asking questions. No one knows exactly who is speaking the right or wrong, but Ben Kitili has been following that story. Ben, paint to us a clearer picture of exactly what is happening and where has this come from?
Telemundo presents The Clone. Of course, we did see that press conference on Friday where the chairman of the JSC, Chief Justice Willie Mutunga, announced that the JSC had sacked Shollei. And of course, they did say, Mutunga did allude to the fact that there were around 87 allegations leveled against Gladys Shollei, and that she did in fact reject 38 of them and admit to 33 of those allegations. Well, what we've just heard from the former registrar of the judiciary, Gladys Shollei, is that she has stated very categorically that she has never admitted to any charge leveled against her by the Judicial Service Commission. So that she has accused the Judicial Service Commission of being dishonest and of course not following the rule of law, and of course that is a big statement with this war that has been ongoing in the judiciary. That is of course something that Kenyans will be wanting to know what really happened, because Gladys Shollei says she has never admitted to any charge level against her, and that what the JSC said on Friday through the chairman, of course, Chief Justice Willie Mutunga, is a white lie. Of course, Mutunga said there were 87 allegations leveled against Shollei. She did deny 38 of them and admit to 33 of them. That is what the Judicial Service Commission said on Friday. Of course, she has talked about a myriad of issues, as you've just heard from herself, talking about the issues that were supposed to be talked about during this whole process. She has said that her services were terminated even before the process could start. Remember, at first she was told it was an investigatory kind of process, but later on it became a kind of disciplinary kind of process. That is what she says she cannot understand, that she was not given the platform and time to be able to answer some of those questions. She did question the jurisdiction of this whole process. She did question the process as well. Bonnie.
Ben, allow me to jump in. Last week, what was in contention was whether the JSC had the jurisdiction to even hear her out, and there was argument of whether it should be in camera or in public. But then, towards the end of last week, Shollei was dismissed. What does this do to that course of action that was being taken? Do we still have these hearings, or what next?
Well, she says, as it stands now, and she says she's baffled by the whole issue, is that her services are terminated. So she did say that she did request for all that. She did request for that public hearing, as you're saying, Bonnie. She did request for the right to be able to call witnesses, because she says she had lined up a number of individuals from the judiciary, of course, to be able to answer to some of those charges, to be able to testify in that particular kind of thing. But she says she is baffled. So at this point, Bonnie, we do not know what will happen next, because her services as it stands are terminated. And she says she was explaining about what happened when she got that particular letter that her services were terminated. She says that ruling was written the way it was kind of prepared, it couldn't have been ready on the same day. That it was a decision, she says, that must have been made on prior to Friday. So she, of course, suspects foul play, and of course, she does not think, from what she has been saying of the Judicial Service Commission, that she will be able to get that platform to be able to explain herself and to answer to Kenyans. But she says she does not care, so to speak, if the Judicial Service Commission grants her that platform or not. She says she will do it anyway. She will find a way of doing it and answering to Kenyans, explaining to Kenyans what she believes is happened. She says she will call a press conference and tell Kenyans what really happened. Bonnie.
Ben, besides just clearing out her name in the media, is there a role for Parliament probably to step into this?
Yes, Bonnie, there is, of course, there is a different kind of process from what has been happening between Shollei and the Judicial Service Commission. There is another process by Parliament. Of course, there is talk of a petition, of course, to disband the Judicial Service Commission. There has been talk of that. We do not know how serious those members of Parliament are. She did say, of course, there have been reports from sections of the media that some of those members of those that are planning that petition been compromised by the Judicial Service Commission. Of course, those are allegations that we cannot confirm, but it has been out there in sections of the media. And of course, Gladys Shollei did also talk about it. She says that if those reports are true, it is unfortunate. She does not have the kind of money, she says, the GSC members can have. And of course, there is that talk of the petition that is said to be brought to Parliament to disband the GSC, but that is a different kind of process altogether. There has been a call by the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, that is a Budalangi Member of Parliament Ababu Namamba, to the Auditor General to take a look at the judiciary and make sure answers are provided for what has been ongoing between the former Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Gladys Shollei, and the Judicial Service Commission, Bonnie.
All right, Ben Kitili, we leave it a very complex matter indeed. And of course, KTN is on top of this story. We will be getting you legal experts to try and make sense of all this that is happening. But for now, over to